Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Race to Automate, maximizing your data security solution with orchestrated and automated remediation. My name is Jess Harper. I manage technology alliances at Tynes. Joining me today as our speakers are Steve Klementowski, Principal Solution Architect, Office of the CTO at Cyera, and Andre Srinivasan, Principal Channel Solution Engineer at Tynes. So today we're going to talk about a couple of areas: the data security situation, streamlining data risk mitigation, how to implement automated remediation workflows, and then of course we're going to jump into the better together story between Cyera and Tynes. We'll even get a live demo from Steve and Andre to show us how the magic happens.
Thanks, Jess. Let's start by talking just about how data has become such a critical asset, but also a challenge for businesses today. First, the amount of data being created is staggering. 87% of data has been generated in just the last 5 years. With that explosion comes the need for more modern tools that can help organizations to discover and manage that data, especially in the cloud, where we see most of that growth happening. Second, we know that data is the lifeblood of any business. It drives growth, it informs decisions, it helps create better customer experiences. But with that power comes great risk. And in the last 5 years, we've seen a 78% increase in data breaches, which is largely driven by this rapid expansion of the attack surface. It's clear to us that the old ways of protecting data are just not keeping up. Also, as businesses adopt more AI, 66% of CISOs are concerned about privacy, and rightfully so. AI needs to access sensitive data to function, but without the proper controls in place, you're opening the door to potential issues or privacy violations. This is where we see Cyera and Tynes coming together. Cyera helps organizations discover, classify, and secure the data in real time, and Tynes offers orchestration automation to manage these threats and risks. Together, we're enabling companies to innovate and grow without sacrificing their security or their privacy.
Awesome. Now to talk a little bit about streaming data risk mitigation. What do you both think are the best practices that CISOs and data security leaders can adopt to ensure sensitive data is found and protected across environments?
I think I can start this one. I think it's critical to have some sort of automated data discovery and classification tool. You need a tool that continuously and automatically discovers all types of data, whether it's structured, unstructured, across the cloud, on-premise, in your SaaS tools. You want to reduce your reliance on manual processes, which are prone to human error, and they can't keep up with the insane scale increase that we were just discussing. Solutions like Cyera offer this capability with agentless and API-driven discovery. I think you also want to ensure you're adding context to the data classification. So it's not enough just to find the data. You need to know what type of data you're dealing with. You need to automatically classify by its region, its data subject type, the level of protection, the business context, knowing what context the data relates to in the business and what functions it supports. And this enables teams to prioritize protections based on the data's value in the risk. I think the last thing, and I think Andre can speak more to this as well, is you want to use automation to address these data risks. So whether it's fixing misconfigurations, adjusting data access rights, archiving a file, having some automated workflow, the scale of data that organizations are working with, you want to reduce the human delays and errors in improving the security posture quickly after you've done this discovery and contextualization.
Thanks, Steve. So, Andre,
actually,
over to you. Oops.
What Steve was just talking about, said the word automation, totally in our space. But one of the things, as we were putting this together, and we were kind of talking through our different solutions and how we are better together, the thing that struck me, found super interesting, was where an automation solution like Tynes, we integrate with some piece of the tech stack, we grab data grab more data, try to transform it and present it in the right way for whatever the solution needs to be. Cyera starts with the data, so it doesn't matter where it lives. It's just about what is the data? Is there risk? I don't know, Steve. You had some great phrases when we were talking about this, and just in terms of the focus, the focus on data. What was the data? Well, data is the basis for all security, I think was one of the things I wrote down.
Yeah. Yeah, I think data security platforms should be the brain for your suite of security tools. Like we say all the time, you can't protect what you can't see or what you don't know is there.
Yeah, I think that's just super cool. Sorry, Jess. That was just in my head. I needed to get.
No, that's quite all right. Steve, let's go to the next slide and talk a little bit about implementing automated remediation workflows. So what areas of data risk mitigation are ripe for automation, would you say?
I think generally speaking, broadly speaking, any type of data risk where the scale or speed of the issue occurring makes it difficult to do manually. So I think we've seen customers have great success in few areas, but two come to mind. One is oversharing permissions on collaboration platforms. So end users, you might have 20,000, 60,000 employees, and they're constantly creating new data and sharing data across the org with external parties on platforms like SharePoint and Google Workspace. You want that sharing to be in line with your organization's policies, and you want to follow sound security principles like the least privilege access principle. And so Cyera can detect potential issues and flag inappropriate access or over permissive access, and then automatically using Tines notify end users and if needed, automatically remediate with the click of a button, changing a file's permission or moving it to an archive. I think a second thing that comes to mind is real-time policy enforcement. So this is in line with the demo you'll see in a little bit, but setting automated rules that trigger when a restricted data or a regulated piece of data is found in a non-compliant data store. You put sensitive health data in a public bucket or outside of the approved healthcare zone. Automation can block that action. It can move it to a compliant location. It can alert the security team quickly, really reducing the mean time to resolution. And for the first time, we're seeing a lot of our customers can put action and technical controls behind what has traditionally been like a paper policy. So we're pretty excited about that.
Awesome. Thanks, Steve. Andre, I've got one for you. As teams change and new risks and new situations arrive, how can data security leaders ensure that automated processes operate seamlessly?
So I would take that question and almost rephrase it. How do you sustain what you've built? So the risk is, first of all, you can build automation, you can try to optimize your processes in a lot of ways, and then to the question, teams, people leave, teams transform, new risks come in. So how do you sustain? And so when we're talking about orchestration and automation, we tend to focus on the operational side. How do we have speed and simplicity, and our mindset is on the operational side. That actually applies to the building side as well. So as a builder, in the same way that I want to be able to run a playbook in seconds and minutes, I want to be able to, first of all, I want to be able to understand the workflow that has been created around automation, and I want to be able to update it. And it shouldn't be like the blessed few who know Python or know the intricacies of the system. Really, there should be a bit of a organizational independence and democratization. I'm part of the IT ops team. I know what we need, and if I have access to the tool, I should be able to enhance a story or debug it, or a story or workflow, enhance it or debug it. And so we really need tools that support that. So our focus is how do we provide this sort of no-code, low-code environment where as long as you know a little bit about your infrastructure and where the data lives, without knowing anything about Python, you can build an entire automation without without any code, just literally dragging and dropping blocks, which also means you can sustain it. And the next person into the team can look at your workflow and say, "Oh, I get it. I can sustain it." I think
That's
that's a,
awesome.
I think that's the key. It's for
Yeah.
for leaders, sustaining, right?
Yeah, I love that. I love the term democratizing the build process. Like it fits very well with our user base, which can span GRC teams, data security teams, cloud engineering teams, privacy teams. It having a common tool that kind of democratizes or allows anyone to build and collaborate on the same tools is meaningful to our customer base.
Absolutely. Why don't we start talking a little bit about why Cyera and Tides work so well together? Let me ask this question to the both of you. How can Cyera and Tides help security leaders proactively address data risks and implement remediation processes that align to business needs?
So, Steve, I mean, I can start and
Go for it. Yeah.
all right. So, I mean, when I hear a question like this, I mean, the top three bullets that always pop into my head are, what do security leaders get measured on? Mean time to resolution, right? If their teams aren't resolving issues, why are they there? Then there's the sort of I guess the sub story to that is how do you keep your teams from getting burned out? Because they aren't going to be resolving issues if people are just leaving because they have to go through 100-page playbooks to resolve some issue. And then I probably just a corollary on that as well is how do you get the issue to the right person or the right team? On the one hand, everybody can be looking at all the consoles and the Slack channel and the Teams channel and like waiting for something to happen, and then fight over it. But I mean, the whole point of taking advantage of orchestration and automation is you can literally feed the issue to the right analyst, have them gather all the information that they need. In fact, you can do the enrichment as part of the automation and and come back to that original metric, mean time to resolution. Is that, Steve, what's your?
Yeah, I think that was spot on. I think what we see is a proliferation of data in customer environments, and it's often when you get visibility for the first time, potentially it's often overwhelming. And so the first question many security leaders ask us after we give them this visibility into their data landscape is, okay, what next? How do I go solve this? Like I need some help. And so automation and orchestration of processes is a logical next step and something that we've seen a lot of interest in from our customers. We continuously scan the environment, discover the sensitive data, but we need something to help take these findings and remediate them. So while we might identify a public bucket, Times can automatically go and revoke that public access or notify the right team. And something that we think about a lot is let's build Cyera into existing security processes. And so it's especially impactful for the organization already uses Times and already has different processes built out in Times with their security teams, with their IT teams. We can be the source of truth for the data within every one of these processes. And it's not just about closing Cyera issues at that point. It's about how can we enhance and provide intelligence and prioritizations to other security processes, whether it's investigating an incident or whether it's closing some other cloud vulnerability that's been detected by another tool. So I want to we're going to go into the demo in one moment, but I kind of wanted to set a scenario first that's a little bit about what we'll talk about. So imagine, this is a common scenario we see across a lot of customers. So imagine someone in your engineering org just spun up a storage bucket, an S3 bucket in AWS, and it contains sensitive health data. This raises a series of questions. What exact sensitive data was in that bucket? How many records? Who has access to that data? Would it trigger a compliance issue? How do you ensure it doesn't happen again? How do you fix it in the first place? Now, imagine Cyera detects this exposure instantly. It flags the critical risk. It provides the insight into the exact nature of the data and who had access to it. And with this information, Tynes and your security team can automatically respond to it and revoke the access, alert the right team, log the event for audit purposes. And so that's we want to show you kind of a demo of what that would look like between the two tools. So I will flip over here. So I'll start with what this looks like in Cyera. So what you're looking at on the screen now is a Cyera platform. And this is that same issue flagged in Cyera. So we detected a S3 bucket in AWS, and it has sensitive data contained within it, and it is publicly accessible. So you can see here's the same in the AWS console. Here's the same bucket named Stark Backup. And you can see that where we have the block all public access policy is turned off. So there's public objects, and we're not blocking the access at the bucket level. And so this, for all intents and purposes, the sensitive objects and files in this bucket are publicly exposed.
And just
yeah, go ahead.
Just for just to kind of also set the broader context of why bother with the automation side, right? Without automation, there'd have to be this playbook to do exactly what Steve just showed, right? It's like, oh, an alert came in. What's that mean, right? Go into Cyera, go into AWS. Have to, that means I have all kinds of credentials, and I have to remember. Like anybody who's used the AWS console knows that they've already, 2 minutes later, they've already forgotten where half the buttons are. How do I change? How do I change the policy on the damn bucket? Right? So, I mean, so this is the real why. It's like, don't do that.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. And so here's the story that we built to demo. So what it's basically doing, in short, is it's listening for this issue from Cyera. So every time Cyera detects one of these issues, it fires off an event, and Tynes is listening for these events. When we find one of these specific events where you have publicly exposed data in the S3 bucket, it triggers this action, which in short just goes through and extracts the relevant information and sets the block policy, and then it closes the issue in Cyera. So I'll simulate what this looks like quickly so we don't have to wait for the real issue to open. So you'll notice the little icons coming down here. It's delaying for 5 seconds while it's confirming that the public block policy has actually taken effect. And then it's closing the issue in Cyera. So if we go back here and we look and we see this bucket now has a block public access policy. So Tynes has taken the issue from Cyera and automatically gone and remediated it. And then if we go here and we refresh, the issue should be closed in Cyera.
It's a live demo. And while it's refreshing, oh, there it is.
So you see the issue is closed in Cyera. It's marked fixed, and this will initiate a rescan in Cyera to confirm that it's been fixed from the Cyera side.
And it's not often that you have your partner's, solution architect demo your product. So, kudos on that. You're hired when,
Yeah, I tell anyone who will listen that Tynes is my second favorite security tool product. So it's a fun tool to work with. I think I'll hand it over to you now, and you'll show how you can take this one step further.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Cool. I might need to make it
let me share my screen. All right. Can you see my screen?
Sure can.
Yes.
Perfect. And then just kind of a little background on what we're seeing here, right? So this is Tines. This is this is a storyboard or the workflow creation tool. And what Steve just showed is a workflow, so a story. And the way stories are created are by using these basic building blocks to basically you're using Lego blocks, dragging and dropping them on, and then connecting them together to create a workflow. No code was harmed in forming this workflow, which coming back to the democratization part of what we're trying to do here. So, one of the things that when Steve and I were talking, and we were going through the story, my question was, well, what if um, that data was supposed to have been exposed, and now we've like killed a marketing campaign or something something that someone might think is bad. I don't know. Is that felt like a kind of a reasonable question at the time?
Yeah, absolutely. These data issues are unique in that data, as we talked about first thing, has a business use. And so you need to make sure that you're working both with the technical owner of the data and the asset, but also the business owner of the data to make sure that you're not negatively impacting the business by fixing a potential security vulnerability. And so it's critical to add in these checks and balances and ensure you're incorporating the right people, and you're going to show a cool demo on how to do that.
Well, yeah, I certainly think it's cool, but I'm a geek. So what we're talking about is while we can resolve the core issue, exposed files, in seconds by using automation, human intervention sometimes is a good thing. And we probably, when building automation, we probably want to introduce documentation all the time. And so whether that means just logging what happened or creating a case in Jira or ServiceNow, we should be documenting. And I also want to highlight, Steve, just move your cursor there a little bit. Yeah, so this is a collaborative environment, right? Back to the whole democratization. Steve and I built this demo simultaneously working on the storyboard. So teams, think of this as multiple people watching how things are built and collaborating to make sure that the automation is correct. So coming back to this we want to introduce human intervention, and the way we're going to do that is we're going to leverage Tines cases. And again, this could be Jira, ServiceNow, but it's a Tines demo. We'll use Tines cases. And what I did was just so that you're not sitting around watching me drag and drop a bunch of actions onto a page, I pre-created the basic flow, but I'll take you through it. So if the original workflow or the original flow story is listening for an event and then making sure that it's the event that we want, and then going down through and ultimately remediating the issue. What we want to introduce is creating a case, so that initial documentation, adding a couple of calls to action, which I'll talk about in a moment, and then assuming that the analyst wants to proceed with remediation, we want it to basically then flow back into the rest of the story. And so I was talking earlier about speed and simplicity on the builder side. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. I can actually, let me zoom in a little bit here. I can break the link here. Break the link. Oops. Here. And then reconnect these new elements into the story. And so what's going to happen is the flow from from our simulated event is now going to pass into creating a case. I'm adding onto the case a remediate action, which would cause it to flow down. And I'm going to show off a new feature that we just launched, which is Workbench. And it'll allow us to investigate the issue before we even proceed. So provide more tools to the analyst before we go and close off this bucket that maybe marketing was using for some unknown reason. So all right, let's kick this off and see what happens. All right, so I'm gonna run this, as Steve showed earlier, what's happening is we see the events flow through. So our case was created and the two buttons were added. And so let's jump over to that. So I'll create a separate tab so that I can easily get back over to the story, to the workflow. And so here's the case that was just created. And we have our initial set of documentation, right? I hate documenting. Steve, I'm sure you hate documenting. So we're 80% of the way to remediation. We've documented what's going on. But the really cool thing here is this case has two calls to action. Remediate, which would continue down the flow through, close off the bucket, and close the case in Cyera. But let's investigate. And so this is Workbench inside of Times. Just launched a couple months ago. It's a chat interface. It is a large language model. And to the point that Steve made at the beginning of the presentation, with the CISOs have this huge concern around AI. This is built by security professionals with that concern in mind. In fact, all the AI features that Times has introduced. So we have a automatic transform. We have an AI action that we can use to transform data just through a description of what you want. All of these features are built without logging, without using customer data. We don't send any of this across the internet. This is all running inside of our licensed instance of Bedrock on AWS. So we are very conscious of privacy here. And so we're in a chat interface. What we're trying to do is we're trying to help the analyst, who presumably is the level 1 analyst, help them do their job. So summarize the case. And note that my typos, thankfully, are completely ignored. And we get a nice little summary here. So, okay, great. We got some problems with an S3 bucket. Before I go and click that remediate button, maybe I should ask, for this Cyera, for this Cyera issue UID, what are the files and what are the risks? And so, again, typo ignored, thankfully. And so what Workbench is doing is it's going back into Cyera. It's looking at the issue, and look at that. This is definitely not marketing data. Somebody made kind of a mistake. So now, as a level 1 analyst, what I want to do is, please, and you always need to be polite to your robotic overlords. Please add this summary as a case comment. So that way we we continue our documentation and kind of get that out of the way because we all know don't like to document. So we'll give that a moment to do its thing.
Well, it's working. I'll just point out the understanding what specific data and how many records at risk. It's interesting for this Cyera issue, but it's also interesting for we're seeing a lot of interest in it from customers with incident response workflows. And so they are investigating an incident, a compromised user, and they want to understand what type of data did this user have access to, or an asset was compromised. Okay, what type of data was in this asset? And I know that's something that Tynes does very well, is supports the incident response orchestration and automation. And so while we're demoing a Cyera use case, a Cyera and Tynes use case here, you can start to envision how you could use this workbench and combined with this rich data context to really make an analyst's life quite a bit easier at the end of the day.
Well said. Thank you. So coming back to our case, we've had our case updated. I feel much better about the fact that I'm fulfilling my responsibilities as an analyst to make sure everything's documented correctly, and because we know that this really is an issue, we really should remediate. And so I'm going to see if I'm going to hit go and then get back to the story in time to watch it flow through. And there it is. Yep. And you can see that it's now the story has continued, and we should be in our pause. 5 seconds. Come on. You can do it. Yes. Live demo. And we flow all the way through. So what we've tried to demonstrate here is we're hitting the metric, get mean time to resolution down. We're introducing where it's important, an analyst to check to see if something should be done. We're by using a large language model that is only looking at this instance of data and has integration with the tools in the stack. Even a level 1 analyst can go and do further investigation without escalating this up the food chain. And by the way, they have no direct access to the credentials. They don't have to remember how to get into the console. And finally, we get documentation and remediation. The analyst can go on a lunch break now. It's a beautiful thing. That's it.
Cool. I think
let me switch it over to you.
Yeah, I will share my screen again and take us through. Okay, can we see this okay?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay. So I just wanted to recap a few of the key takeaways and where we go from here. So I think one of the main takeaways here is that we together, Cyera and Tynes, can help detect and respond to data risks almost instantly. So you can leverage your data discovery and your AI-based classification to identify issues with precision and get visibility with precision that you've never had before. And then you can use the leading orchestration and automation tool to resolve these in either instantly or in near real time. This all improves operational efficiency. I think as Andre mentioned a few times, no one likes writing documentation, and we like having time to take lunch breaks. And so by automating the data discovery, the classification, the remediation, your security teams can focus more on the strategic tasks instead of the manual interventions. And then last is what we're all striving towards is minimizing data breach risks and enhancing your compliance and your overall security posture. So together we're helping to reduce these risks while ensuring that your organization continues to meet the regulatory requirements, whether it's privacy in GDPR or HIPAA, like the example we mentioned today. I'd invite you to scan any of the QR codes to learn more about our partnership and how it can benefit your organization. We'd be happy to give you a personalized demo today. Maybe if you're lucky, it'll be Andre or myself giving you that demo. And last but not least, we're doing a gift card giveaway. So keep an eye on your email. 15 lucky attendees will receive a $50 gift card from Cyera.
Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for participating in today's webinar. Special thank you to Andre and Steve. You guys did an awesome job. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat and we'll be sure to follow up with you. Or you can always contact us through our websites at cyera.io or tynes.com. Thank you so much.